Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you again for participating. We started reforming the community council back, was it January, I believe? Yeah. And we've been picking up steam, and we have um, drafted bylaws that we will be trying to pass, and we have also drafted policies and procedures. Now, the community council disbanded back around 2010 for reasons primarily related to the Public Records Act, and we are no longer planning to take money from King County for operating expenses, which should eliminate our status as an agent of King County. We will be independent as a community council. The plan going forward is that we will become a not-for-profit Washington corporation and then seek 501c3 status from the IRS so that we can get tax-deductible contributions to help support us in lieu of having operating expenses paid by King County. We were very successful for 40 years as a community council, and the bylaws and policies and procedures had been crafted over the years to the point that they were very good. But still, there were some concerns about the community council's nature that people were worried about. One of them was that there was nitpicking with regard to Robert's Rules of Order, and people felt shut out because they hadn't memorized the 50-page or so document of Robert's Rules. And so when they didn't know number and verse, they felt like they were being basically shut down. And so what we have done with our new bylaws is that instead of using Robert's Rules of Order and saying that the meetings would be governed by
Your audio has gone bad. Hold on. David, your audio is bad.
Okay.
Okay, somebody is. We can try that again.
Okay. So instead of being governed, can you hear me?
Yes. A quick question, David. I forgot we didn't go over the minutes or the agenda. Do we want to do that?
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Before we go forward, and I went before I get ahead of myself. Have people had an opportunity to review the minutes from our last meeting? Well, the minutes have been circulated, and what I'd like to ask is if there is anyone present who is opposed to adopting the minutes from last month's meeting.
Diane, did you want to post them?
Yes. Let me put them up, and then we can take a look at them. We can then do a poll. Okay. So let me do that.
And the poll will not be all those in favor of the minutes. It will be everyone who is opposed to the minutes.
That's not how I set the poll up.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right.
It's a yes, no. It's do you approve? Yes, no.
Okay.
Sorry. So here are the minutes. And here, the 29 people attended. Here are all the attendees. We had the video available, and themselves. We had a welcome report and discussion about bylaws committee. No votes were taken at that meeting, but the following key points were raised. More participation was requested. The role of the board members was discussed. The value of in-person town hall meetings was confirmed. And we clarified again that funding of the community council will not be by King County, and formation of governance committee, worked on proposal for election of officers, standing rules, and changes to the bylaws. So this laid out, so these were the minutes. It was a short meeting. It was a lot of, it was the first time we'd done a virtual meeting like this. And these are the minutes from that meeting. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And I would like to go ahead and run the poll to see if you would like to accept it. But I see Jacob has a question.
Okay.
Okay, Jacob, can you unmute yourself? Oh, I've got it.
Yeah, you just unmute. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Is it what we want, or is it wise for the listing of attendees to be, some of them are email handles and stuff, like mine is Jacob J, and it doesn't really tell you who attended? I noticed on that list as it scrolled by, some had people's names and others just had internet aliases or whatever they're called.
That's just the way that Webex records the names as people enter the meeting.
I understand, but do we want to not record people's names as opposed to their, email alias? That's all. But you guys decide.
Okay. I don't think we need to decide that at this point, but that's a good item to think about.
I'll make a note of that in the minutes, Jacob. So that anyone who is doing the minutes in the future it would make sense, I think, to take the extra time, if we can find them, to have the actual name. Sometimes that's not available, but that makes sense to me, that it would be names, so we really know who's there.
Right. Okay, any other questions? Well then, how do you run this poll?
I'll show you.
technically
I'll
novice.
start it. It's all set. All I
Okay.
have to do is say, open the poll, and you will see it on your screen.
Okay. And there you go.
So you can go ahead and answer the poll. It's there on your screen. And we'll wait a while people find it and actually participate.
So do you have to open up chat in order to get to poll?
No, you do not.
It should show up on the right-hand bar. If
Okay.
you
It's
open
showing
up
up on the right-hand side of your screen.
Okay.
And me, as the person who's running the poll, I can watch and see how many people have actually done it and haven't. So it looks like we still have 10 people who have no answer, but some people are on the phone and can't.
I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it.
Okay, and you're looking on a laptop or a PC, Jenny?
Yeah. I must be doing something wrong. I'm not sure what though.
Jenny, have you opened up the participant window? So at the center bottom of your screen, there's a blue box for participant.
Yeah.
That's open.
Yep.
Can you see the participants? Names of the participants?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
And at the bottom of that, there's going to be something that says polling.
Oh.
Nope.
I don't see that.
Hey, I'm not seeing anything here. Got
If you have the chat window open, then it's going to be all the way at the bottom of that too.
I don't
Maybe-
see
Right.
anything either.
Try that.
I have the, I have the chat window up and it takes the entire right side. There's nothing else.
Yeah. Here.
Scroll all the way to the bottom of that.
So, if anybody could see me and there's been no reply.
Okay, this is Nicholas.
Yes, Nicholas, we can't see you.
Yes, it is. When I first came on, the picture
Have
was
you
up.
turned on?
And all of a sudden, pictures appeared.
I can't
I'm sorry, I couldn't
see anything
hear that.
either.
Nicholas, when I hover over you, it says, due to low bandwidth or local computer conditions.
I am on my laptop computer. It's a high-end computer, so it has unlimited capabilities pretty much.
Wouldn't that depend on your internet connection?
I'm connected.
It's about your internet connection, not
okay.
about your laptop.
All right, I'm connected with the King County Library system right now, so it's about the fastest system we have here. Mhm. I can try and disconnect and go to a different internet, but the library is typically the fastest and most accurate.
Nicholas, if you'd like to, we can hear you just fine. If you'd like to participate still this way.
Yeah, the only issue that I see or recognize that the speakers really need to be able to speak, and so the chat window I think is a great way to go. But like I said, I've typed in the chat and it doesn't. I have no response back. It's resetting again.
Nicholas, I had seen your chats before about whether anyone can see you. So
Yeah, nobody.
Oh,
Yes, that's
okay.
because we're in the middle of trying to get the meeting going. I'm sorry, but we can definitely see your chats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Then I'm good with that, and we can just go forward.
Okay.
I don't want to waste time in the meeting.
Thank you.
So I'm going to
Okay.
close the poll now. There are only 9 people who didn't answer. We have a definitely overwhelming result.
All right. So then we will consider the minutes approved and move on to the agenda. Have people had an opportunity to review the agenda for today's meeting?
Diane, why don't you bring that up for everyone's review?
I'm trying to, oh, there it is. Sorry, I did not, I'm new at this. So now I'm sharing the results with everybody, and hopefully you can see them.
Okay.
I still cannot see anything right now.
So I'll say the results. Do you approve of the minutes? 68% said yes.
Yes, I do. Nicholas, I do.
So we're good with that.
Oh dear.
Approved.
And I'm going to save the results.
Good.
And I can see Armin Yusufian down there. And greetings, Armin. Long time no see.
Yeah, please tell Kate that I got her chat message up there. Thank you.
Okay, so I will go ahead and mute myself now because I think we're back to David, right?
You're going to show the agenda.
Okay, we're showing the
I'm gonna
agenda.
show the agenda. Okay, let me pull that up then. Okay, get that situated so we can all see it pretty well, and then I shall share my screen so you can see that. Yeah, that one.
There it is. I see that.
So here we are. Hopefully
Great.
people can see this.
I can see it well, Diane. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
And if those of you who want to, if you have 2 screens or a smartphone, you can also go ahead and take a look at the website there that's mentioned if you want to take a look at anything else while we're having this meeting. So here's our agenda. Welcome, brief technical overview, formal welcome, minutes approval, check, 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 check. Review and approve agenda. So here's the next parts of the agenda that we'd like your approval on. Overview and key points of bylaws and policies and procedures. Q&A on bylaws and policies and procedures. Timeline for VMICC board nominations and elections. Opportunities for active participants to join the governance committee, organizing committee, and/or communications committee and run for the board. Timeline for VMICC to begin addressing community issues, yay! And next meeting and adjourn. So I'll leave it, David, you can take over this discussion now. Or
Are we going to vote on this?
First, let's take a vote. And all those who would,
I'm going to stop
Yes.
sharing it first.
okay, Diane, you have a poll set up?
Yep, I have a poll set up for this.
Okay,
And the poll is the meeting agenda poll, and I shall open that. And I shall open the poll. And hopefully you can see that poll now, many of you, hopefully a lot of you.
Are we freelance governance where we don't have to have someone move it and someone second anything we're voting on?
well, we're just approving the minutes now and the agenda. It's not a motion.
It's correct that it's freelance right now, yes.
But when we get to motions, we would need seconds for the motions.
Okay, so I'm going to close the poll because the same number of people have. Okay, Webex isn't going to let me close it yet. We have 12 more seconds. But people were really fast at doing their poll this time.
Okay.
Okay. And so I'm going to share the results with everybody. 81% said that they approve of the agenda. And does everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to save the agenda poll results. And then I can.
I hate to be that guy, but when you say 81% approved the agenda, is that 81% of people who voted or 81% of the participants?
22 of 27 people.
80% of the people that are here, Jake.
Of the participants, whether they voted or not. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And one element we have,
19%
31
abstained.
participants, the people on phones do not show up for the polling.
Right.
Their
So
numbers don't show.
nobody who could poll said no. There was, in effect, unanimous of the people who did poll.
Okay, now
So I'm going to clear that. Back to you, David, I think.
all right. Now, Armin, I see, has asked the question about whether this discussion about our rules is superfluous, given that we're not using Robert's Rules of Order, but we are going to be guided by the democratic rules of order, which are just a less formal approach to meeting protocol. So it's not as if it's going to be a free-for-all. We will have guidance from the democratic rules of order, which are intended to be more accessible to normal, everyday kind of people and not people who are parliamentarians. So that was one of the changes that we've made in the bylaws, and we do require seconds of motions, yes. And again, it's guided by it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try to carry on these meetings in a way that is accessible and yet organized so that it's not a free-for-all. We also, Deb, I was able to speak with an attorney who advises nonprofits today. He advised us that the 501c3 structure would allow us to be both a nonprofit, would allow us to not lobby, but we can advocate for issues for the island, for operational issues, as we always have. The only thing that's precluded really would be to lobby legislation, to lobby for rulemaking, and that's not something that we've normally done. And by being a 501c3, contributions would be tax deductible, which they would not be for a 501c4. Okay, so that is where I believe that we are headed, is to incorporate again as a 501c3 as we had been for 40 years. So now the bylaws have been changed in a few ways, and the reason is that there had been complaints over the years that the community council did not represent enough people. Now, first of all, I'd like to clarify the community council is not a representative organization. It's a participatory representation. It's more like a town hall forum than elected officials. And so traditionally at a town hall forum, those people that attend the forum can vote and can make their voices heard. Those people who don't come are unable to participate in the voting process. But this year, with our community council, what we're trying to do is reach out to more people and allow more participation. And the way to do that is what we're doing right now, allowing participation through telecommunications, so that people who cannot attend a meeting for whatever reason, too infirm, they have kids at home, they can't get a ride, are able to participate either by phone or by Zoom or Webex, whichever communication system we choose. And we believe that by doing that, we will get more participation in the community. Also, what we're doing is altering the function of our board so that a primary function of the board members will not just, in the past, the only real function the board members had was to try to formulate an agenda for the general meetings. And I think a lot of people mistakenly felt that board members were elected representatives. They're not. They have no more power in the community council in a vote than anyone else. They can help shape the agenda, but they don't represent anyone other than themselves, and proxy votes have never been allowed. So in this case, in order to reach out to the community and to have more of the community participating through the community council, one of the functions of the board will be to reach out and communicate with various sectors on the island. And the sectors are being set out in our board policies and operations, which would include affordable housing, business, culture and history, education, environment, faith, food services, health and human services, the Latino community, LGBTQ, recreation, safety, youth, and others. So it's not going to be a limited number of sectors, but the board is going to be tasked with increasing the participation in the community by establishing connections with members of the community. And what the Democratic Web link post 4, if people want to read the democratic rules that are going to be used to assist our meetings, they have a website where those rules would be accessible, and that has been posted in the chat. I believe Ryan has put that down. Now there's also our website, and we will try to increase participation through our website. Now, ordinarily for votes, we are not going to have voting on the website, but in order to elect our board, we want to reach out to as many people in the community as we can So the intent at this point is to have the vote for the board members through the website. And that is to increase participation in the island so that we can get many more people involved. And we're trying to link up different organizations too through the community council. So the changes that we've made to the bylaws are made primarily for these purposes, which are to make it more accessible and to reach out to more parts of the community. We are planning, well, the proposed bylaws have changed the voting age from 18 to 16. And that was because we have so much energy and, you know, activity among young people on the island that it would be a shame to lose their participation. And if we can allow them to vote in the community council, we will increase participation. The Armenian community is a great idea, Armin. If you would be helpful in reaching out to the community and encouraging their participation, then we would welcome it with open arms. There's a small Jewish community too. Is that a religion or is that a nation? Good question. But in any event, we want to increase participation among whatever sector we can reach out to. So I think that was considered a weakness of the board in the past, and we would like to make it a strength. The bylaws are relatively unchanged from years past. I think what I've mentioned were the primary changes that we had to the bylaws. The structure of our committees is being spelled out in the policies and procedures, and the bylaws can only be changed, I believe, is it once a year? But it's much harder to change a bylaw than it is to change a policy or procedure. So many of the, much of the guidance for the community council will be through the policies and procedures. I know that there had been some concern about committees being overrun for issues, and in the policies and procedures, I believe that we have made a change that would say that only members of committees can vote, although everyone in the community can participate in committee meetings. So essentially, the bylaws and the policies and procedures are very much like we've had in the past. They worked well for many years, and so we didn't want to have wholesale change. What we are trying to do is to get the community council up and running as soon as we can, and to have it be, to reach out to as many people, to be a fair organization, and to truly have a voice for the island with governments, with agencies, and with other entities such as, for example, Puget Power. If we have issues, we can address them through the community council. So it's governments, agencies, and entities that we're trying to communicate with and basically allow them to speak to the island and allow the island to speak to them. We are more of a conduit than a representative government. And I think that that's been the traditional role. And traditionally, the community council does not tell anyone what to do. Our power is in the public perception of our authority. And the better run we are and the more participation we have, And the more fair our meetings are run, the more the greater our authority is within the community. Now, I'd like to, at this point, introduce Ella, who will run a question and answer on the bylaws and on the policies. Ella?
Yeah, if you have questions, you can either type your question in the chat or type in the chat that you'd like to ask a question, and I can keep track of who asked the questions so people will be able to speak in order.
And the people who are on calling in, at the end of dealing with the chat questions, Ella will reach out to the people that are participating by phone and see if you guys have, one by one, and see if you have any questions or comments as well.
Yeah, also please keep your comments to 2 minutes or less.
Okay, and we would like to have people ask no more than one question until everyone has a chance to ask a question. But the floor is open for questions. Well, given the fact that we've been around for 40 years and we're not trying to radically change an organization that worked well, I can understand that there are no questions, but if people, let's see.
I think the governance committee, this is Deb Tversky. I think the governance committee did a lot of work, and I really want to thank everyone that participated and made good suggestions and made small but important changes and researched a lot of different options to sort of bring the town meeting idea up to the 21st century and to accommodate right in the middle of COVID all that we can do and know that we can do now, electronically. And I just, I applaud all of you for all the changes you made. I'm sure it's going to be easier for the group to be a conduit to all the agencies as you described.
Thank you. Other comments, other questions? Well, the primary purpose of this meeting was to bring the bylaws and the policies and procedures that we have worked hard on in front of the community council so that we would be able to take a motion to pass these at our next meeting. And
David?
Excuse me, yes?
One thing, we haven't asked the folks on the telephone if they have questions.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to unmute everybody that's on the telephone. You're all unmuted. If anybody has a question, speak up and you'll be heard.
Yeah, this is Elaine Rocheford with the Park District. I'm looking at the bylaws that are online. I'm assuming that's the same thing that you folks are looking at. So Article 7 reads nominations, but it discusses committees, and there is no Article 8. I was looking at the 2001 bylaws. Article 7 discusses the nominating committee, and Article 8 discusses committees. I'm wondering if we're missing.
Well, Article 8 discusses amendments. Committees are, the latest iteration, actually, Article 7 should read committees, not nominations.
Okay, the one I'm looking at online doesn't show that, so perhaps you have a more updated version that you're looking at.
Actually, I'm looking at the same one that you're looking at, and it also has the same typo. That Article 7 should read committees, not nominations.
Got it. That's what I thought. Okay.
Okay, and we will correct that. I thought that had already been corrected. I apologize.
No worries.
So many versions at the last minute, so many versions of this thing floating around back and forth. It was hard to keep it completely on track. So we'll make sure.
We'll change that.
Thank you for spotting that and mentioning that.
Yeah, and the nominations are handled through the bylaws, and so are most of the policies with regard to committees. The way committees are run are handled through the policies and procedures. So the basic policy, well, the basic rules for the community council are in the bylaws, but the operating policies and procedures are separately set out in the policies and procedures. For example, if you want to read about board operations, there is a policy and procedure for board operations. There are policies and procedures for committees, and there are policies and procedures for elections, which would include nominations and a nominating committee. There's even a policy on voting and on meeting decorum. And that's important too. And I think the community council has had a history of being a friendly organization. And I think, Armin, I would appreciate hearing your input. Well, maybe you haven't had enough time to look at the democratic rules of order, but do you feel that that would be a helpful change?
Can you hear me? I'm speaking through my phone.
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, as I said in a comment over on the chat screen side of things, I had no idea there was such a thing as these democratic rules of order. When I saw the term used a month or so ago when I visited the website, I guess I saw something somewhere, I thought it was just some kind of a made-up term for some made-up rules. So I'm not in a position really to comment in an intelligent way.
Okay, but when you do have a chance, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. My thought and the thoughts of the governance committee were that Robert's Rules of Order were used like a weapon at some of these meetings in order to basically shut people up. And we would like to increase participation. And as long as we can maintain orderly rules, which you can through the democratic rules of order, that it allows the community council to be more accessible.
Well, I'm wondering where that perception comes from that the Robert's rules were used. I see I'm showing up when I speak as call in user _3.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm wondering where that perception comes from that Robert's rules were used as a weapon, because I have the feeling that that has something to do with me. And I would wholeheartedly disagree that I ever used it as a weapon. I think it was used as the having it allowed minority opinions to have an opportunity to be voiced. But, you know, just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get me. I'm wondering where that perception came from, because maybe I want to rebut it.
Well, Armand, I had heard that criticism of the community council before you were even involved with the community council. And in fact, at times I felt that way before you became more involved with the community council. I think some of your involvement came after I had left the island. And so it's not intended at you personally, Armin, but I have heard that comment from a number of different people.
This is Deb Tversky again, and I would just say that I have worked with a lot of nonprofit organizations, and many other people here have too, and you can chime in, but when you say, well, that's not in Robert's Rules of Order, or you mention Robert's Rules of Order, that scares people. I mean, people feel like, whoa, I can't speak up at this meeting because I don't know what they're talking about, right? It sounds like there's a big fat book of rules and you didn't read it, or you don't know what it is. I would just say it's less and less common to find that as a requirement, because it scares people and it keeps people from speaking up. That's all I would say in the groups I've worked with.
Craig has a comment. Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, I would agree with Deb completely. I don't think it's so much a matter of weaponizing Robert's rules as it is a barrier that people feel toward that they feel toward being able to participate. If you want a truly participatory organization, you want to make it easy for people to get involved and to have their say. And a lot of people felt handicapped by the strict rules of Robert's rules, not so much a weaponization by certain individuals. So.
Okay, thank you, Craig. I think that's very fair.
Well, this is Armin again.
Okay.
I didn't realize there was this democratic rules and that there's a 10th edition and it's, I guess, over 100 pages. So I guess I would need to look at it and see what it has to say to make any intelligent comments. But my view of Robert's rules is that it is just an organized way for people to participate. It's the opposite of blocking participation, other than maybe there's a time and a place and for when people can speak and how much they can speak and what motions are subject to debate and which ones aren't and all that sort of thing. But I've always viewed it as being very democratic. And if people are scared by it, maybe it's just they need to have some education in it. I learned about Robert's Rules a long time ago, being in Toastmasters for about 10 years back in the 1970s. And, you know, maybe, anyway, I don't want to hog the platform here, or hog the stage here. So that's what I have to say about it.
And another thing is that the change that we made to the bylaws says that the democratic rules of order do not govern the meetings, they guide the meeting. And so we don't want people to feel that, oh, I violated the rule and so I'm going to be punished. Again, we're trying to make it easier for people to participate, and yet we want to make sure that it's run in an orderly fashion. Okay.
It looks like Steve Bergman has a comment in the chat.
Okay, I saw that Steve wants to enable participation, a larger proportion of the residents than 30 to 40 people would have a voice, and that's nice. Do you want to be on our outreach committee, Steve? Because we certainly would welcome your participation to increase participation.
So I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes. One of our committees will definitely be an outreach committee because, go ahead.
So I'm not sure how we do it. I don't have the answers. I just think we need a mechanism, and I don't know. I hope someone can come up with an idea to do it effectively. I think the technology is there to reach, you know, a large proportion of our island, but I'm not sure how it should be done.
Okay.
So.
Well, we are an evolving organization, and we have moved from participatory meetings in person to allow participation by telecommunication. That's a big step. That's a very big step. And so if we find new ways to reach out to the community, it sounds to me like we would welcome them as opposed to discourage them, Steve.
Great.
Okay.
I look forward to that. Thanks.
Thank you. Other comments?
Have we asked all the people on the phones?
They are still unmuted.
Okay.
Am I on mute?
You are unmuted. We can hear you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. This is Tamara Stone, and I'm listening in for the first time.
Great.
And, you know, the Roberts rules, oh, there's a seal right there. The Roberts rules are, you know, they're obsolete. So are the democratic rules to run a meeting. I mean, we have so many more tools now than we had before. I don't think it's, you know, either or. So I was talking to my friend that's sitting here with me on the beach in Liza Beulah, and she was saying how the school district does it, which seems so perfect, is that one person is in charge of running that meeting. They put out the agenda that is in an open document in the Google Docs. People can add to the agenda. And as the meeting goes along, it's bullet points. Agenda 1, okay, are we done? Agenda 2, all the notes are put into the agenda so that it is all one living document as you go along. Does that make sense?
Tamara?
Can I say something about that?
Go ahead.
Sure, please do.
Yeah, I have been I've been doing the minutes of the meetings, and when we do it on Webex or Zoom or something like that, it's really we can have that up, and we can I can be typing on it as we go along. The problem is you can't see everybody then. People can either see the document or they can see each other, pretty much. And so to have the whole meeting be screen sharing.
Can you split the screen?
No, we can't split the screen, unfortunately. But if we could, that would certainly help.
There is a way.
Well, maybe not in WebEx.
Tamara, we have a communications committee, and if you are able to communicate with our communications committee and find some ways that this can be done, we'd welcome your suggestions. The other thing is that the school board is a much smaller organization than the community council. In our case, everyone on the island is a member, and anyone who participates can vote, and the school board is a finite number of people.
But yes,
I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
this is Jeff. I was going to say that to the caller, yes, please contact us, and we'd love to have your input for a communications committee. Because again, this is all a work in progress. We're laying a foundation. All the documents are living documents, and we anticipate making changes as the organization grows and evolves. So we welcome feedback, contribution, and most importantly, participation.
Okay. Well, is there more discussion on the bylaws? Does anyone want to further address the bylaws? Because at this point, I would invite anyone who would like to make a motion on the bylaws.
What are the bylaws, since I have?
Who is asking the question?
Nicholas.
Nicholas, the bylaws are posted on the Vashon-Maury Island Community Council website. They have also been circulated to participants in prior meetings by email before this meeting.
Yeah, I've had lots of emails and an overabundance amount of paperwork to try to go through along with everything else that I do. So I'm just trying to cut to the
but
chase.
if you want to know what the bylaws are, they are available. Okay.
You can't round that up for me.
Well, the bylaws are the document that is the basic guidance for the community council. There are 8 articles, as well as the 9th article, which is the date of adoption. The first one is the name, the purpose, the membership. The purpose of the community council the community council exists to enable the people of Vashon-Maury Island to address important island issues.
Okay.
That's the purpose. The membership, all Vashon-Maury Island residents are members of the community council. Only those 16 or older may vote, and it's mandatory. All meetings are open to all members and interested visitors. The will of the residents of Vashon-Maury Island shall be expressed by a vote of the membership at the meetings. We are now opening up the voting. Oh, excuse me, Jim. Yes.
I was going to suggest, you just went through the bylaws, so, and we're going to vote on them today. So I would suggest we just get those to Nicholas so that he's prepared to vote at the next meeting.
Yeah, we're not voting on these at this meeting, Nicholas. We're going to take a motion to put them on for vote at the next meeting. So you'll have a full month to look at them.
Yeah, I have Ryan sent me a link to the bylaws on the chat here.
Great.
I can use that to go directly to them.
Okay.
Thank you.
That way we can save a little bit of time for me reading them again. Okay.
Please. Thank you, though.
But David, keep in mind that Article 8, it seems to be entirely missing from the version that we have on the website right now.
The amendments, Article 8.
Is that the one? It goes from 7 to 9 right now.
Oh, okay. Well, then the one that's on the website is missing. The version that I have, version 3. I will tell you then what Article 8 is. And that is amendments to the bylaws. Section 1, any vote to amend these bylaws shall be held at either the April or October Community Council meeting, subject to the provisions outlined. Section 2, any proposed amendments to these bylaws shall be required to be signed by 5 Community Council members, again, any resident of the island, and shall be presented in writing at a Community Council meeting. The vote on the proposed bylaw amendment shall occur at the next Community Council meeting no sooner than 3 months from the submission of the bylaw amendment. Section 3 was that the Governance Committee shall study the proposed bylaw amendment and present a report to the Community Council addressing the impact of the amendment, outlining arguments in favor and opposed, and they present majority and minority reports to this requirement. And passage of the bylaw amendment will require a 2/3 vote of the members present at the Community Council members. And so it's harder to change a bylaw than it is to change a policy and procedure because you need a 2/3 vote. But that's the missing article of the bylaws. Otherwise, we will update the bylaws on the website to show our latest version.
If somebody could send that to me, I would put it up there immediately.
Oh, okay, I can send it to you right now if you'd like.
This is Deb Twersky, and I just have a question. I would move that we put the adoption of bylaws on the agenda for the next meeting for a vote. And I would only like to know where we will advertise those bylaws. Will we have a link in the Beachcomber, for example, or you know, we will, our communications committee will work on that or something like that. Otherwise, I would move that we, you know, that we put it on the agenda for the next month, and people will have an entire month to review them.
I second that.
Okay, so the motion was seconded by Diane Emerson and made by Deb Twersky. And so we will have that for a vote at next month's meeting. Thank you very much. And now I would welcome any motions with regard to the policies and procedures of the Community Council. And would anyone like to make a motion with regard to voting on the policies and procedures?
Yes, Jim, unmute yourself. Hold on.
I move that we adopt the policies and procedures.
All right, is there a second?
is Elaine Ott Rocheford. I second that.
Thank you. So that will be held over to the next meeting for a vote. And the bylaws as well as the policies and procedures will be available on our website. And right now, I'm sending the bylaws to Dan Fuller so that they can be posted.
So, oh, hang on a second. So David,
Yes.
the version you should be sending to him is version 4.
Oh, version 4. I don't know that I have version 4.
Well, that's because there have been so many floating around, but that was the. I will send him. I have the most recent version, so I will be sure that
great.
Dan gets it. Okay.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
great.
All right. Well, then the next thing that we can move on to is the timeline for the board nominations and elections. And what I want to emphasize again is that the board is not representative of the island. It's not as if you vote the board so that they will represent your opinions. The board will have two basic functions. One is to help set the agenda, and the way that is done is by reaching out to the community to get the pulse of the island and find out what are the issues that are important to people on the island, to the various constituencies on the island. And the board is not the only group that's going to be reaching out. We want everyone to be reaching out. And if anyone has issues that they want addressed, bring it to us. And so that way we can figure out what is important to the island. That is really one of the critical functions of the community council, is to find out what issues are important at relevant times. So the June meeting, we will be having a discussion and then a vote on the bylaws, the policies, and procedures. By the June meeting, we may already be incorporated as a not-for-profit Washington corporation. If we are not by then, we can still go forward as an unincorporated association. So the community council, when we have a vote on those policies and procedures and adopt them, we essentially will be the community council. We are essentially the community council already. But when we have policies and procedures that are adopted, we will be more of a formal organization. So then we're going to try to get more people involved in our organizing committee and see what other committees are necessary. I know that there is an issue coming up with airplane overflight on the island, and the Port of Seattle very much would like to position a monitor, a noise monitor, in order to determine noise patterns on the island, and they want the community council to tell them what we want. So we will have an airplane overflight committee. Basically, there have been people who have been doing that on the island for a couple of years now, and they will be coming into the community council. Now, Bong is here. He's a representative of the county or the county government, and he has been at all of our meetings. And so we have a great way of communicating with the county through Bong. And I've asked if we can have, it's Jim Taylor, it's Jim Taylor?
John
Taylor, who will be in charge of unincorporated areas and roads. Is that it? Rural areas and roads for the county. And
And under local services, department permitting and roads division is.
Okay. So permitting, roads, local services, and John Taylor has already come to a community council meeting, so he's familiar with our organization, and we're asking that he can come to the July meeting. And so what we would like to do, there are plenty of issues on the island that have not been addressed and that need to be addressed, and we want to get going on that as an organization. We'd like to vote on nomination committee members so we can get a nominations committee in order to vote for a board for the community council. The September meeting, well, at the August meeting also, it would be good, and we would like to have the Port of Seattle give a presentation about airplane overflights. And that's a real important issue for the island because people move to the island to have peace and quiet. And when you're constantly having airplanes fly over your head, it's not all that quiet. So that is our plan for the August meeting. This September meeting, we can have updates on the voting procedures. We will be seeking to recruit people to run for election for the board positions. One change this year is the plan is to have 7 board members voted on, and then the 7 board members will choose 2 more board members, particularly for their ability to reach out to various constituencies on the island. So that's our new plan for the structure of the board. And then the October meeting, the nominating committee will announce its candidates for the board. But anyone who wants to run for the board is free to nominate themselves. And we want as many people as possible to run for the board so that we can increase participation. The website voting will be open in late October or early November. And at the November meeting, we want to announce the results of the elections and the board members will introduce themselves. So that's our plan for the next few meetings. And we are building momentum, and it's good to have 28 participants at a meeting such as this one. It's good participation. So what we'd like to do is keep increasing that. Now we have an organizing committee of people who have been spending a lot of hours trying to get this organization up and running, and people who want to participate and want to contribute time to getting this organization up and running, we welcome you. So do we have other questions, other concerns that we can address? Because otherwise, we can pretty much wrap this meeting up.
Diane and then Jim.
Okay.
Yeah. If you would like to inquire about volunteering on one of those committees, I'm going to put my email here in the chat, and please contact me. I can answer your questions and sign you up.
Also, David, Diane, and I are listed on the website, so feel free to send us an email or give us a phone call, and we'd be happy to discuss that with you. Jim Dyers.
Diane just said what I was going to say. I just want to make a pitch because we really need people to make this organization work. And we want you to be in at the ground level to make sure it's your organization.
Hello. This is Kathleen, and I have a question on your committees. The section you have placed on the policy. I'd like to know, are those the names of the committees that you have, and what falls under each of those committees? What areas?
Well, in the past, we've had set committees. We'd had standing committees, and then we'd have committees that would be ad hoc committees that would be formed to address important issues. So we've had, we have a governance committee that addresses, the rules of the organization. We plan to have an airplane oversight ad hoc committee, and the ad hoc committees exist as long as the issues exist. But it's an open, it's open as to what committees are needed. We've had in the past traffic safety committee. We've had land use committees. So those issues, what we have for committees depends on what issues we have.
So there's not any permanent committee. You're saying a lot of them are ad hoc? Governance?
There have been permanent committees in the past. And but there are also many ad hoc committees. The permanent committees have changed. Jacob, did you have a comment?
I would just say that as on the governance.
We put you wherever we think is best.
Oh, go ahead.
Jacob?
Around, then you got the option of picking it by seniority. If you fill in, then,
We can hardly hear you, Jacob.
well, there's no chart. When you're on probation.
I'm not sure he's talking to us.
I don't use those terms next in line. So if you heard something different than what I said, that it's when you're on probation, we use you where we need you, and you can discuss stuff, and we can see what we can work out.
Jeff, I would say you should mute Jake.
I
Yeah,
think so. That's nothing personal to Jacob. Let me find him.
Besides, I didn't make that decision.
There, he's gone.
Okay, so
But he's still there.
Everybody to know that the newest, the proper version of the bylaws are up on the website now.
great. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Our response team. Right. Yeah, excellent. And one of the committees that we will probably always have is a communications committee, an outreach committee, a governance committee. Those are three committees that will probably be standing committees.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions, other concerns? Well, then I would like to thank you all again for your participation. And I want to say that I've been involved with this organization since 1984. And back in the 80s, we accomplished a lot of great things. And we never had this kind of participation. Really, this is outstanding participation from some people who are very capable. And so it gets me excited to be with this group. And I think it's going to do great things.
Do you suppose that the virus had anything to do with everybody being here? Sorry.
We're not that bored.
Better than you, right? No.
Diane? Diane?
I would like to say one of the key things that we have to do is to get more people aware about our next meeting, and that we're going to be taking the actual vote on the bylaws and the policies and procedures. So everybody who's here, we need your help. If you see me or someone else posting on any of the Facebook groups or nextdoor.com or any of the Yahoo groups that you might be part of, respond and add your comments and support for these meetings, because as you know, on Facebook, every time someone else makes a comment, it bumps that discussion up to the top of Facebook. And so it's really important for all of us to keep it alive and keep talking about it. No one person can do it. It takes all of us to make sure that the whole community knows about this and will participate.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Or an island.
Thank you. And at this point, I'd like to adjourn the meeting and encourage all of you, if you have other questions and concerns, to contact us between now and the next meeting and participate. And if you know people who are interested, get them to participate. So thank you again.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate this being here.
Good night.
Thank
Good,
you.
everyone. Stay safe.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
People are dropping out one by one.
One by one, two by two.
Wonderful meeting, you guys. Wonderful meeting.
Armand, it's good to see you.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now.
Okay.